You look at a book like Deuteronomy, written thousands of years ago, and you might wonder, what does this have to do with Jesus? Well, it turns out everything. Today, we're going to unravel this ancient text and see how it points again and again directly to Christ. It's like a giant puzzle, and trust me, the final picture is incredible. And really, this one question is the key that unlocks the entire book. Imagine being given a contract, a perfect agreement, with terms that are impossible for anyone to keep. It's a huge problem, right? Well, that's the dilemma Deuteronomy lays out, and it's a mystery that needs a solution. So what even is Deuteronomy? Well, picture this. It's Moses' farewell address. He's standing there with a whole new generation of Israelites, right on the doorstep of the Promised Land. And his job is to renew their covenant, that sacred, binding agreement with God. But this book is so much more than just a historical speech. It's asking this massive, universal question. What does a perfect God actually require from people? And more importantly, who on earth could possibly live up to that? And here is the core problem, laid out plain as day. On one side, you have God's requirement. It's not complicated, but it is absolute. Love him with all your heart, every part of you, no holding back. But then you look at Israel's reality, and ours too. Our hearts just aren't wired that way. They couldn't do it. We can't do it. It's an impossible standard. But here's the thing about God. He doesn't just present this massive, impossible problem and then walk away. Nope. Right in the middle of all this tension, he plants a seed of hope, a clue that points to a future answer. And this is that clue. I mean, think about this for a second. Moses, the greatest leader and prophet they had ever known, says, hey, someone else is coming, someone like me. But the implication is clear. This coming prophet will be even greater. This one verse became this incredible beacon of hope for the entire nation. So what was this prophet going to be like? Well, he wouldn't just be some other messenger. He would speak God's word perfectly, without error. He would stand in the gap between a holy God and sinful people. He was going to be a better Moses, a better mediator. And crucially, he would have the final say. His word would be the word. And this, of course, is where the whole thing comes together. This is the big reveal, the answer to Deuteronomy's impossible standard and the fulfillment of this incredible prophecy. It's Jesus. He's the one who steps into this ancient problem and solves it completely. So how exactly does he do it? Well, first, he is that greater prophet Moses talked about. Second, he lives a life of perfect obedience. He actually keeps the contract that Israel couldn't. Third, he becomes the curse bearer, taking the penalty for breaking that contract on himself. Fourth, he does what the law can never do. He becomes the heart transformer, actually changing us from the inside. And fifth, he isn't just speaking God's word. He is the living word. If you remember one thing from all this, let it be this. It's so simple, but so powerful. The book of Deuteronomy shows us, in perfect detail, what God requires. But Jesus Christ is the one who provides what God requires for us. Okay, so this is all fascinating history, right? But it's so much more than that. This changes everything for us today. It shifts our whole focus away from trying to climb a ladder of rules to get to God and toward resting in the grace of what He's already done for us. Think about it like this. Imagine someone hands you a legal contract. The terms are beautiful, they're perfect, they're just, and there's a huge reward if you fulfill it. The only catch? You have to keep every single clause perfectly for your entire life, without a single slip-up. You read it, and you just get that sinking feeling in your gut. You know there's no way. You're going to fail. But you sign it anyway, knowing full well that when you break it, there's a terrible penalty to pay. That's the human condition that Deuteronomy describes. And then, just as you're waiting for the hammer to fall, someone else walks in. He takes your contract, and he fulfills every single line of it, flawlessly. Then he looks at the penalty you owe and says, I'll take that too. And after all that, he turns around and hands you the full reward. That is the gospel. That is what Christ did. So what's the bottom line for us? Well, it means our salvation isn't based on our performance. It rests completely on Christ's work. It means God's perfect standard wasn't lowered. It was met for us by Jesus. It means real faith isn't just about trying to follow a bunch of rules. It's about a deep inner change of the heart. And because of all that, our job now is simple. Listen to him, follow him. In the end, After all the laws, all the history, all the prophecies, God's final word on the subject is stunningly simple. He points to Jesus and he says, listen to him. And that's really the question Deuteronomy leaves us with today. Are we?